On today's show, how did the Golden State Warriors make a comeback in their series against the Lakers? And is Anthony Davis going to come back from his injury? Also, how did Jalen Brunson dominate in his game against the Heat to keep the Knicks alive? We'll talk about that and more on today's Locked On NBA. Let's go.
You are Locked On NBA, your daily NBA podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome. You are Locked On at the NBA. My name is Nick Angstadt, host of the Locked On Mavericks podcast. Thanks for being part of the show and making Locked On NBA your first listen every day. Be an everydayer and subscribe or follow for free. Just search Locked On NBA wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube. But the best way you can help us grow the show is to listen every day and to comment anything below. Let us know, do you think the Warriors or Knicks can mount comebacks and advance to the next round? They're both down 3-1. Curious who thinks what. Joining me, as always, my co-host on a Thursday, host of Locked On Bulls. What you got for me, Pat the Designer?
Can't wait to see if Stephen A. is trading Julius Randle tomorrow.
You know it's coming. Mike Greenberg's going to be talking all about that weather.
Orange and blue skies, baby. Orange and blue skies.
Today,
Shout out Tom Thibodeau.
Today, we're going to talk about if the all NBA teams were all right. We'll go through that in our Counted Up segment a little bit later. Are the Celtics guys worth the Supermaxes that they may be given? We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about, can the Knicks mount a comeback after Jalen Brunson's incredible performance in this game? And then we'll start here, Pat. Let's get into the Los Angeles Lakers lose to the Warriors. They could have ended the series tonight. They don't. The Warriors win 121-106. The Warriors do some great things in this game, but I think we got to start with Anthony Davis because he leaves the game with about 7 minutes and 34 seconds left to go in the game. The Warriors were up by 13 at this point. There's a foul on LeBron, and Anthony Davis is under the basket on the other side of the court, hurt. As we've seen him several times before. His face is hurt. He's holding his face in his hands. He leaves, goes to the bench, sits down, kind of puts his hands over his head. The trainer's coming up to him. He's saying, hey, something is blurry, like he's waving his hand back and forth. Goes back in the back. And I've been to Chase Center. I've been to those locker rooms. And you have to go all the way around from where the player's bench is to be able to go to the locker room. So he would either have to walk through the court or go all the way around the tunnel, which is a long way. Right. They decided to just put him in a room by himself, according to Chris Haynes on TNT. They put him in a room. They bring in a wheelchair, and then they take him in a wheelchair, take him all the way to the locker room. They get him tested. Apparently, at this point, we've heard that he has avoided a concussion at this point, but we're not 100% sure at this point. He would have to go through concussion protocols, and according to the NBA concussion protocols, if a player is diagnosed with a concussion, he will not return to participation on the same day or the next calendar day, and also has to go through return to participation process, which is several steps of exertion, which they call stationary bike, jogging, agility work, non-contact team drills. Like, it would take him, he would definitely miss game 6 in this if he would have to go through that because of just how long that takes, maybe even more. So that's where we are with Anthony Davis at this point. The injury itself, though, didn't seem like it was that bad.
No, I want people to understand this. Like, me and Nick aren't just like a couple of guys that do this. We literally have spent an hour sitting here looking at different things on this injury. Like, we're trying to see where the contact was made. The contact, to me, when I slowed it down, looks like forearm to the side of the head. We've looked at Anthony Davis's injury history to make sure, right? Like, he does have a couple of concussions. I believe 3 concussions in his history.
Past, yep.
And 2017 is the last concussion that is noted. Doesn't mean that he can't still get, we've learned through modern medicine and different things like that. Once you get a concussion, you can get them more easily. So I'm not going to sit here and say that Anthony Davis is, oh my God, he's trying to get out of this game to avoid a concussion, whatever it is, right? But it doesn't, I can't look at an angle that to me looks like he was hit that bad. Or looks like he shouldn't have returned to this game. I'm trying to find the reason to give Anthony Davis leeway in this situation, and I don't know if I can find it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I am willing to sit here and say that I can't 110% tell you that he wasn't seeing blurred vision. He wasn't seeing the issues that he had because He's had concussion issues in his past. It's been some years, but hey, that's still in his history. I can't take that away from him. But when I look at Anthony Davis in this situation, one, you're not having the greatest of games to go out into this, and the Lakers are down 13, I believe, at that point with 7 minutes and some change left in the game, right? I'm not going to say you gave up on this game, but I do think that maybe that you were just done for tonight, willing to go back to LA and try and regroup with the situation. I don't know how to gauge this at this point. I'm gonna be 110% honest with you,
because we're not in his body. Like, I know we do the thing with Anthony Davis where Shaq crinkles the paper on Inside the NBA, and we're like laughing day to Davis and all that stuff. But like, we don't know what his body goes through. Like, you don't know until you feel what he feels. Like, you know, like, I wouldn't understand how somebody that doesn't get sunburned when they walk outside. Like, I wouldn't understand how that feels.
I've only had it once in my life. I'm not gonna lie. I've only put on sunscreen one time. It was crazy. It was crazy.
But you don't know what it feels like to be severely burned by the sun at times.
I know.
And so, like, we just don't know how his body responds to certain things. We can make all the jokes and say, like, hey, he like decided to end this game or whatever, decided he didn't want to go back, but we don't know what he was feeling at this point. And if he is feeling any kind of concussion symptoms, like, we want him to get out of this game. We don't want him to continue on and play. Oh, you just got to tough it out, man. Like, that stuff is done. We've seen too much in the NFL. We've seen too much from these former players that have talked about how bad CTE and these concussions and all these things have been for athletes, that you can't mess with that kind of stuff. And so he went out, and it is what it is. And so now my question is, okay, it's some kind of vague head injury. Also, I want to shout out Brian Suterer, who's been on Locked On Mavs with me, and has his own YouTube channel, an incredible like medical doctor talking about sports injuries all the time. His YouTube channel is awesome. We watched him to learn more about this and what kind of injury AD could have had. And so now my question is, he has this vague head injury now. Does he come back? Like, does he come back to another game, or does he end up missing a game? But if he avoided the concussion, are they now like, all right, he is coming back because he avoided the concussion in general?
I think he's got to come back. I think he will come back.
He's got to if they're going to win.
Well, here's the thing, right? I think that AD will come back in this situation, but the question is, to me, right, like, what kind of impact is he going to give? Which AD are we going to see? We've seen AD that is the most dominant AD in the world, the guy that we love, the guy that we think that I'm gonna be honest with you. If you go back and look at some of my early Windy City Breeze content, the guy that I said was one of the best players in the NBA, top 3, top 2 at one point in his career. And now, if you look at him now, like, are we going to see that?
That's Chicago based right there.
100%. If you look at that, are you going to say that? Until I find out he's a Packers fan, it is what it is. If you're going to say that, right? Like, is he that, or is he the other guy that we've seen be inefficient, struggle against Kevon Looney, a sick Kevon Looney, by the way, at that, right?
Yeah,
struggle against opponents who you feel like he should be able to dominate on a night in and night out basis. The one thing that we can say, concussion or not, whatever tonight brings or not, Anthony Davis is inconsistent. And that has been one of the biggest problems in this playoff run, in this series. I'm sorry, there's no game that I can look at where I say LeBron's the problem. Maybe you look at the supporting cast, but I can't say that.
Because it has to be on AD. This version of the Lakers, it's on it. He has to be the best player, and he has been. And in all of their playoff wins, it feels like he has been the best player on the floor, at least the best player on his team. LeBron has taken that step back into that role where there are times this season where we've done this show and I've said, LeBron, I was on with Howard Beck on this show and said, LeBron was a distributor in this game. He was like a defensive rebounding guy. He wasn't a go get your own bucket. It was the Rui Hachimura game where he went off and Austin Reeves went off and he was him. And like, that's the role that LeBron has taken now. And so it has to be on AD. Coming up, let's talk about the Warriors though, because the Warriors did stuff well in this game. They went out and won 100%. This. We can't just put it all on the Lakers. So coming up, we'll talk about how Steph Curry and the bunch got the win, how they took control, and then we'll talk about the Knicks and how they mounted to come back. But before we do, let me tell you about eBay Motors. eBay Motors has you covered. If you have a car that needs a new part, you know how badly it needs to fit right. Because if you try to put a part that won't fit right in your car, it's not going to work. It's going to rattle around. It's going to have some issues. You're going to get injured. It could be some kind of issue for you. Check it out on eBay Motors with eBay Guaranteed Fit. You can be sure that every part fits right the first time around. Just add your ride to My Garage, look for the green check to know that the part will fit or your money back. Because just like in sports, confidence is the name of the game when you shop on eBay Motors. With over 122 million parts to choose from, you'll be back in the game in no time. After all, it's easy to bring home a win when the right parts are guaranteed. Get the right parts, the right fit, and the right prices on ebaymotors.com. Let's ride. eBay Motors guaranteed fit, only available to U.S. customers, eligible items only, exclusions apply.
Of course.
Thanks everybody for hanging out with us on Locked On NBA, making us part of your day and being your first listen.
You okay?
Never thought about
Are
how
you okay?
Never thought about how I say that part. Thanks for making us your first listen at this point. We've been talking about the Lakers losing to the Warriors. Let's talk about the Warriors beating the Lakers now at this point, because it wasn't just the Lakers losing this game, even though they were up 3-1. The Warriors got this win, and they got it on the backs of Steph Curry being awesome, but not from three, which is not something we're used to. 27 points from him, 12 of 24 from the field, just 3 of 11 from three. He had 8 assists in this game, only 2 turnovers, huge. And he played about 39, could have played like over 40 minutes, considering that some of this was garbage time late when the Lakers kind of gave up with about 2 minutes to go. What did you see from Steph and the bunch to get this win?
Well, I thought Stephen Curry, here's the thing about Stephen Curry, and I've said this multiple times. We need to stop talking about Stephen Curry as just the point guard, right? The best point guard possibly. Stephen Curry is one of the best players I've ever seen in an NBA jersey. Stephen Curry is a dominant player. We've seen Jordan performances from Stephen Curry. And tonight, not to say that this is the best performance we've ever seen from him, but the thing for me with Stephen Curry is, okay, the 3 ball's not falling. Steph's done. No, he's not. He shot 50% from the field. He still found a way to be an impactful player. And my God, Andrew Wiggins, ladies and gentlemen, is back. Stepping up for the man who paid $500,000 to go on a date with Ice Spice. Shout out to you, Jordan Poole. Whatever you got to do to get him, I guess. Shout out to you, my boy. I don't know. I wouldn't do it, but maybe. You know what I mean? But here's the thing. Andrew Wiggins stepping up right along with Stephen Curry and Draymond Green being in the role, right? Like, here's the best part about the Warriors that I love. There's always that guy that we talk about as, this is the guy that stepped up in that moment. This is the guy that made that play in that moment. It's not about, and I think this is the biggest thing. It's not about the ego. It's not about who should be taking the shots, right? Like when you look at a Klay Thompson in this situation, 12 shots, 3 for 12. Bad day.
Bad shots.
Bad day. Bad shot. And yeah, I will say this. Klay seems like he's trying to take some shots to like get game 6 Klay going. Hey, just take some open shots.
It's only game 5, bud.
Hey, bro, just take open shots. That's all I'm asking for you. Klay is like, I'm going to take a step back with 2 hands in my face, 1 referee, and Steve Kerr is coming over offering me a Haagen-Dazs.
And I'm going to turn around and taunt the bench depending on
what I mean?
If it goes in or not.
4 rings, baby. 4 rings. You know, wait a minute. Hold on now.
Rocco, get Klay back under control.
But I thought really good job from the supporting cast on offense, and I thought Andrew Wiggins did a really good job defensively on LeBron.
The Warriors are 34-8 all time in the playoffs, now 35-8 when Draymond scores 15 or more points. He got 20 in this one, 10 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals, 5 turnovers. Got a block as well. Only 3 fouls, which will make no sense to me ever in the history of forever, how he only ends games with 3 fouls at times. But he was awesome in this game. And I think the big change that the Warriors made in this one is that, besides Steve Kerr's comments about the refs after the game, which definitely had them looking out for the Lakers and flopping.
Why are you poking the Bears?
Darvin Ham after the first quarter said, "We don't teach flopping." That's a big FU to Steve Kerr. But anyway, back to Draymond. The change that they made, besides that stuff that I mentioned earlier, the change they made was the Lakers started switching defense. Instead of blitzing as much, they started switching a lot more. And so they've intentionally had AD switch on to Curry just to take AD out of the paint, and then made Steph Curry a distributor. Draymond slides over to the paint, and then he kicks over to him, and all of a sudden he's a distributor. He's maybe their best decision maker with the ball. I mean, which is wild considering Steph's on the team. But Draymond has been an incredible playmaker throughout his career. He makes the right decisions, or in this case, just scores himself. He scored 20 points in this game, 7-11 from the field. And Like, I thought that was the big change they made, is they're like, hey, if you're going to switch on us, we're going to take AD out of the paint because we can do it. And that was such a huge thing, because if he's been in the paint, they can't do anything against him.
Did Draymond watch the hezzy that he did against them, and he was like, "Oh, I can play offense too." like I'm not gonna lie, the fake pat handoff that he did behind the back lay. Ever since then, Draymond's been buckets.
Let's change over to the Heat versus Knicks. The Knicks get the win 112-103. The Knicks come out in the first quarter, score 14 points, and are down by 10 in the first quarter. They come back and score 36 in the second, 34 in the third, and end up coasting to a win basically at this point. Jalen Brunson was absolutely incredible in this game, as we've known him to be. 38 points. He was 54% from the floor, 4 of 10 from 3, 10 of 12 from the free throw line, which he doesn't usually go to the free throw line that much. It was incredible from him. 9 boards, 7 assists, 1 turnover from their point guard. He played all 48 minutes, him and Grimes did. An incredible outing. What did you see from Jalen Brunson, this Knicks team, to get this win?
I have to tell you what I saw from this Knicks team. It's not just Jalen Brunson. I want to welcome Julius Randle and RJ Barrett to the second round of the playoffs. I don't know if you know this, but it started a week and a half ago. Guys, what do we see from this team? We saw Julius Randle finally figure out that he was in the playoffs. I know there's a lot of smoke for Stephen A. Smith and things like that when he brings up statements like this, but what are we supposed to say? Julius Randle's been awful the entire playoffs. My God, the one time the Knicks are able to get a win versus a Jimmy Butler team is the one time that Julius Randle figured out, hey, I'm in the playoffs right now. It's time for me to step up. Good job, Julius Randle. He went 7 for 13 in this game. I thought he did a really good job making himself effective, especially in that first half, kind of setting the tone. And oh my God, RJ Barrett continuing what he's done the entire time. It's literally just that little bit of garnish on top. RJ Barrett has been really good in the playoffs. I've been somebody, right? Like, if you look at my history, I thought RJ Barrett would never develop a jump shot. RJ Barrett has not only developed the jump shot, but I think he's also come out and he's been a really good player on both sides of the ball, been a good defender, been a good offensive player, getting to the bucket as well. But I look at Julius Randle and I'm just like, hey, bud, this is supposed to be a 3-headed monster. One of the heads. You ever seen that meme? Have you seen that meme with a 3-headed dragon where there's like the two dragons that look normal and the one looks like, exactly. That face right there. If you're listening on the podcast side, go to YouTube just for that face right there. 110%. Like, that's been Julius Randle the entire second round. And it's sad. It's sad because this is who the Knicks have to rely on to be what you thought was their number 2 guy. But realistically, when you watch today, he felt like the number 3 guy.
Julius Randle made All-NBA again, by the way, and has not been their best player. I don't think that he was their best player this year. He hasn't been their best player in the playoffs by a lot. He's missed some games too. But yeah, he was much better in this game. I think his decision-making at times drives me insane. I think it does Knicks fans too. RJ Barrett, you mentioned had a better game, little bounce back, 26 points from him, but he even had some decisions late where he had the lob. It was bad late. He had the 5-second call late. He picked up his dribble and almost caused an 8-second violation late in this game when the Heat were making a comeback. But the Knicks just held on to, they held on to what they do, and they didn't get destroyed as much on the glass as they have been, which is so weird to watch this Knicks team destroy the Cavs on the glass in round 1 and then get destroyed by the Heat on the glass in round 2. But they end up getting more offensive rebounds, 14-11. They scored less second chance points, but still they didn't get destroyed on that. They even got destroyed on points off turnovers, which is wild. The Heat had 29 points off turnovers. The Knicks only had 5. Looking at this game, you're like, wait, how did the Knicks get this win? And they just did it by, I thought, when they went on their runs in this game, they got into their offense quicker. They started actions faster, and they took advantage. They have mismatches on this. Brunson can create a mismatch for some of these guards because of his footwork. His footwork is so great. It has been since his rookie year in Dallas. And he just creates the mismatch. When he's one-on-one on somebody, he can create space because he's had to. He's 6'0". He can create space against anybody. And Randall's got his advantages with his fast feet and his size, and Barrett's got it with just being huge, like just being a huge wing that can bully guys. And so they got into their offense quicker, took advantage of it. And then I thought Jimmy Butler just kind of like he couched this game, and it was not Jimmy Butler that we've come to know in the playoffs.
Knicks fans, I want y'all to enjoy tonight. I want y'all to have a lot of fun. It's over. Enjoy tonight. Enjoy orange or blue skies, baby. Whatever Stephen A. be saying. Enjoy tonight. It's over. You want to know why? Isaiah Hartenstein played 22 minutes. He scored 4.6 boards. Obi Toppin, 12 minutes, 2.6 boards.
Yeah, this
Josh
is a full
Hart,
Tom Thibodeau game from
9 minutes. He scored 2 points, 2 boards. That's your team. I want y'all to understand. Somebody who, Nick, get the bell ready, has lived through a Tom Thibodeau era. This is what you're going to get. He's going to ride the rest of these starters to death.
Luol Deng is somewhere like, I know how that
Well, that's
feels.
a whole different thing. Shout out Jeff Tanaka for almost killing a guy. You know what I mean? That's a different situation in general. Anyway,
Taj Gibson is out there like, I could have played three years longer. Coming up, were the All-NBA teams right? Are the Celtics guys worth their Supermaxes? We'll talk about that coming up. All right, Pat, thanks everybody for listening to Locked On NBA and being part of the show. We appreciate each and every one of you. Go and subscribe. There's a 5-day-a-week show on your team, whether you're a Warriors fan. We got Locked On Warriors with Cyrus. We got Locked On Lakers with the Kamenetsky brothers. We have Locked On Heat with Wes Goldberg, David Ramil. Locked On Knicks with Gavin Shaw and Alex Wolf. Great stuff from all of them, but it's time for us to play our favorite game every single week.
Count it up, count it up, count it up, count it.
Where we count up the most interesting, fun things in the NBA. We got All-NBA came out today. The All-NBA teams are as follows. Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jayson Tatum, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Joel Embiid on first team.
Yep.
Second team, Steph Curry, Donovan Mitchell, Jimmy Butler, Jaylen Brown, Nikola Jokic. Wild that second in MVP ends up being on second team. Third team, De'Aaron Fox, Damian Lillard, LeBron James, Julius Randle, and Domantas Sabonis. Let's start with this one. LeBron James extends his record for most All-NBA teams all time with 19. Do you know who's second?
Oof. Who's second all time?
In all NBA selections, not just first team, but all in general.
Is this obvious, or do I have to go with a deep cut?
All three of them are obvious. There's 3 guys all tied, and they're think about guys that have played a long time.
Kobe Bryant,
Kobe's one with 15.
Dirk Nowitzki.
I wish, but he's not. It's Tim Duncan and it's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. The other 2 with 15. My question is though,
Count it up.
can anyone ever catch LeBron? He has 19.
Yes. There's a different generation of NBA players coming. And I think that there will be a lot of players that will have longevity based on how LeBron has played the game, based on how the game has changed around LeBron. I think we'll see guys break that record 100%.
Giannis is at 7. Jokic is at 5. Embiid's at 5. Luka is at 4.
I think Embiid and Luka are more candidates to catch LeBron than maybe Giannis is, because of Giannis's decision making with what he wants to do with his career, right? Like I don't know if Giannis
he wasn't good enough early on. Like he had to develop into what Giannis is.
Well, I don't know if he's going to end up not being good enough to do it for a long time, but I think that Giannis isn't going to want to be one of those guys that plays 20 plus years.
Luka has said that. Luka was asked if he's going to play as long as Dirk did. He's like, oh, I won't even make it that long. Or he was asked about LeBron's scoring title. Like, will you ever make it? And he's like, oh, I don't even think I'm going to play that long. So,
I mean, when you think
see.
about it, right, these guys have been playing like Luka and them have been playing high level basketball since 13.
Yeah, he's 13 at Real Madrid.
Who wants to do that?
The problem with Luka is if Luka hits his like maturity level, which in Dallas we're all waiting for him to hit. If he hits that level where he does the Steve Nash, Dirk Nowitzki, I'm gonna take care of my body and I'm gonna start taking this seriously and I'm gonna really like extend my career by a lot. If he starts taking that where goes vegan or changes his diet,
Wasn't that this season?
No, not at all, not even close.
I thought he came in a little not drinking beer in the off season.
No, that did not happen. I don't know where you heard that. He's drinking beer in the playoffs last year.
I thought the off season never mind.
We haven't had that off season yet. We're waiting for it.
Shout out to Luka. I would rather
if he
party
hits
with
that,
him.
then I think he has a chance. Other than that, it's hard. It's gonna be hard for somebody because LeBron's also not done. Can he hit 20 next year?
Yes.
The next one, The Bobby Marks pointed this out before the All NBA teams were even announced. That the two Boston Wings, Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, were eligible for these Supermax extensions in 2024 if they were both selected to All NBA or to All NBAs, and they both were. Here's my first question, and we can do these rapid fire a little bit.
Count it up.
Is Jayson Tatum worth a 5-year, $319 million Supermax?
I will say this. I've maintained this until you start to get certain level of accolades. I don't call you a superstar. So for me, I wouldn't give Jayson Tatum the super max. I think you have to choose one or the other. So I will turn this back on you based on what you've seen in 2 playoffs in a row, even one where he makes the finals.
Made the finals.
Would you give Jayson Tatum a super max? I personally would not.
What is your option here? That's my question. If I'm the GM, if I'm looking at this team saying, okay, do I think he's worth $319 million? Who else am I going to give that money to?
Jaylen Brown
is my question. That's another question that I'll get to. But just Jayson Tatum himself in a vacuum, he's who else would be worth that type of money if he's not in the NBA? Then what's the point of the Supermax even existing?
When are you paying your players for?
I think you have to give it to him. You're paying the players to score the basketball.
No, when are you paying your players for? You're paying your players for now. And in 2 seasons in a row, he hasn't shown up in the now.
He's made the conference finals 3 times. He made the finals once. Like, he's only 24. He's still 19. What was the joke for forever?
He's only 20, bro.
He's 20. He's 25. I mean, he's right now getting to his prime. So, and we haven't seen how this season ends. I mean, maybe they don't get beat by the Sixers. So, I think Jayson Tatum, yes, I would say. The next question though is Jaylen Brown. Is he worth a 5-year, $295 million Supermax?
Of course he's not, because the Chicago Bulls will pay it, and I hope that he leaves there.
I think that's what most fans would say, because they all want him to leave and to go join their team, because I think Mavs fans would say the same thing.
Here's what I'll say about Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown has been the one piece that we have looked at for 2 seasons in a row, including one season where he made the finals, where we've said, wow, Jaylen Brown has done his job. No one has questioned what Jaylen Brown can do. We have questioned Jayson Tatum. And it's not just because I know Boston fans are about to be in the chat. How can you question him?
They've questioned him. I think they've questioned him too.
You're capping if you don't think that what you're seeing in 2 playoff series in a row, because realistically, when we pay our players is to show up now, right? Like, listen, the Bulls paid Zach LaVine. He didn't show up. I got some issues with that. Right now, this is the time where you pay your players to show up and be that guy. Jayson Tatum hasn't been that guy in 4 games? That's a problem. That's a real problem.
He's got to show up in game 6. I don't think that determines if he's worth this contract or not, though.
Of course it does. What are you talking about?
Just even if he doesn't like score a point in just this last game, he's still worth this contract.
What are we talking about?
We're talking about a guy that's one of the best players, one of the top 5 players in the NBA.
He's top 5 in the playoffs right now.
Top 5 in the NBA.
He's top 5 in the playoffs right now.
No, but like Jimmy Butler is top 5 in the NBA in the playoffs right now.
This is the time where I pay my players.
Luka is not in the playoffs right now. Like,
but what I'm saying is you pay your players. When Luka was in the playoffs, Luka was able to be productive. You pay your players to get you to an NBA championship. You don't pay your players to enjoy
last year.
You don't pay your play. Was he the main reason?
So because he has an off series, he has an off series, you wouldn't pay him a Supermax.
He was the main reason that they got to the NBA championship last season.
Tatum was?
Jayson Tatum. That's what you're telling me.
No, but he's part of it and led the team.
He was the man. Nick, we sat here and talked about this every Wednesday for the entire NBA playoffs about how Jayson Tatum wasn't pulling his weight consistently. Jayson Tatum is the reason that they got to the NBA finals last season. Tell me that.
Jayson Tatum was one of the reasons they made it in the finals.
All right.
like you have to think that he had multiple.
Jayson Tatum is a contributor to this team, but we have to start acknowledging the fact that there have been multiple playoff series and multiple playoff games where we look at Jayson Tatum and we say, you're not pulling your weight and you're supposed to be number one. But I look at Jaylen Brown and I say, he's trying to do this every single night. Whether he gets the shot attempts or not is a very different question, because when Jayson Tatum shot 33%, Jaylen Brown shot 50%.
So would you flip him then and would you pay Jaylen Brown more than Tatum if you're going to knock Tatum down there?
I think we need to start having that conversation, because I can say in the finals, did Jaylen Brown pull his weight?
Yes.
I can say that. Did Jayson Tatum? Now, I understand we brought out the injury issues. Jayson Tatum has talked about the injury issues he's had. Okay, we can say that. What's happening right now? Right now, is he having injury issues? Right now, why is he shooting poorly in the playoffs? And I know I'm finna get all the smoke from all the Celtics fans in the comments, but I'm okay with that.
He's shooting 45% in the playoffs. It's not like he's shooting like 20%.
I stand on
we're starting
what
to have
we've talked about with these guys.
We're starting.
What we've talked about with Tatum.
The last question was, are they both worth 5 years, $600 million?
No.
Best duo in the NBA, though.
I don't.
Probably Booker and KD right now.
Well, that's a different situation. Yeah, probably. Right now, yes. Season wide, I will still.
Oh, now wait. Now we can talk about season wide. We can't just talk about right now. What about right now?
Right now it is Booker and KD. Season wide, I would. Or if you really want to do that, Bam and Jimmy Butler. You giving Bam and Jimmy Butler $600 million, bro? Jimmy makes a lot of money.
Do I get interest in Big Face Coffee if I get?
Yes, you do. 100% just for you.
My last one was Donovan Mitchell. Was named second team. He was passed up by Luka Doncic and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for first team. He tweeted out FOH LOL, means F out of here, laughing out loud.
Count it up.
Does he have a point?
No, because it's a regular season award.
If it was a playoff award.
If it was a playoff award, he's got to be over Luka if it's a playoff award.
To be fair, SGA didn't make the playoffs either, so.
Facts. Yes, because it's a regular season award. I think SGA could have been an MVP conversation if the OKC Thunder were a better team. And Luka's Luka. That was Luka was the question I had, but it's not all NBA is not a team award.
No.
So I have to go with Luka over Donovan.
I think you can and should weigh wins at a certain point.
Yeah.
To where I'm at a certain point, I'm like, all right, well, I don't know if I can vote for like a player that completely missed the playoffs. But if your player is so much better than the other player and has such a better season, then it weighs. There's a certain amount that it weighs, right? How much does Donovan Mitchell's team had 13 more wins than Luka's team, made the playoffs, and Luka's team didn't? Okay, well then weigh how much better Luka's season was than Donovan Mitchell's, and that becomes your personal preference at that point.
The only question I'll ask is Luka a guard?
Yeah, he has the ball the most. I mean, it is what it is.
I mean, but aren't there two other guards on the floor? Like, there's a point guard and a shooting guard on the floor with Luka.
It depends, but what do you call Tim Hardaway Jr.?
Okay. I'll give you that.
What do you call Josh Green? It's like I guess they're guards.
I would give them guard. I would give them guard, but I get that point.
This is the thing with LeBron also handles the ball a lot, but we still call him a wing. He made All NBA.
By the way, why is All NBA the only thing we're still doing positionally?
We're not anymore.
Two guards, one center, two forwards.
The new CBA, they're changing it, I think.
Yeah, they are, but it's weird.
We won't have to do it next year. So there you go, guys. Let us know in the comment section. Do you expect some of these teams to make comebacks? We appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out with us on 100%. Locked On NBA.
Bang bang.
Boom.